Good evening and welcome to the Village of Westmont Committee of the Whole meeting for November 12th, 2009. I'd like to ask our clerk to take the roll call, please.
Mayor Ron?
Here.
Clerk's here. Trustee Emery? Here. Trustee Fleming?
Here.
Trustee Forsley is absent. Trustee Klebanow?
Here.
Trustee Scott?
Here.
Trustee Seneca? Here. Manager Searle?
Here.
Attorney Zemanek?
Here.
Economic Development Director and Assistant Manager Kimball? Here. Police Chief Mulhern? Here. Fire Chief Trout? Here. Deputy Police Chief King?
Here. Thank you. Please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. First item before us are the minutes of the committee, the whole meeting held October 29th and board meeting held November 2nd,
And also,
2009.
we have the minutes from the Joint Village Board and Planning and Zoning Commission to add. We'll add those for approval.
Okay. Any questions? Moving right along, open forum. We do not have any requests before us this evening.
No.
For open forum reports, the mayor. I have two things. The first is I'd just like to thank everyone that showed up yesterday for our Veterans Day ceremony. It was organized and put together once again by our fire chief, Frank Trout. We thank him for his efforts, and our fire department, our police department, and quite a number of residents and veterans from the VFW, the American Legion, were there, and it was a brief ceremony, but we had excellent weather this year, and sometimes when we have that ceremony, the weather is not always so nice. Windy, cold, rainy, snow, you name it. We've experienced it, but thank everybody for coming out to honor our veterans yesterday. And the next thing that I would like to bring up is that we have a request from the Napleton Auto Group to rename a short drive, which is actually up on close to a property that they own on North Pasquinelli Drive. It's presently named Oak Hill Drive, and they would like to rename that short little street in honor of Fran Napleton. I like to call it Fran Napleton Way, and that's in honor of the owner of Napleton Auto Group, which has dealerships across the country, and he passed away last week at the age of 84. But that is a request that's coming to us from the dealership, and we have Rick Brandstatter here, who's the area manager for the Porsche Napleton Auto Group, which Porsche is one of their dealers, one of the cars that they carry here in Westmont. Would you like to explain your request a little further?
Sure. Well, the Napleton family is 4 generations into the auto business, which is essentially from the beginning of the auto business. Fran Napleton was 84 and passed away last Friday, and was buried on Monday. He has a slew of family, etc. We've had car dealerships here in the Chicagoland area for the last 70 years. We do specifically run the Porsche Auto dealership on Ogden Avenue. Our corporate offices are at 1 Oak Hill Plaza, which is basically at Pasquinelli and Ogden, and we are, pretty well set here in the community and have been here for quite some time. That road is actually a private road maintained by our neighbor, the Mann Rowland Group, and ourselves, but clearly within the city or the village of Westmont. And what we're requesting is to make it an honorary street named Fran Napleton Way to honor Fran, who is the patriarch of the family. There are 5 brothers that are in the auto industry and 2 sisters that are involved in this, and then those generations all continue on, but this would be a memorial for the patriarch of the family, Fran Napleton.
Any questions from board members?
I don't see any problem with it as long as they're in that building.
Yes.
And if they ever
yes.
decide to move out, then it would revert back to,
The other name.
Yeah.
Sometimes with honorary street names, you see the regular street name that remains and then a brown sign or a different colored sign just for the honorary street.
like they have in
Like our Muddy
Chicago.
Waters.
That's what
Yeah.
that's what we're suggesting,
Okay.
that we won't replace the existing sign, but we'll add an additional sign.
It's a nice idea.
It'll say
Yeah.
honorary.
Right, we wouldn't want our neighbor to have to change stationery and things like that just because of us. It's really to be an honorarium, not to become the official name of the street.
But as
A
long
nice
as they stay
idea.
there, it could be.
Well, let's hope.
Any other questions from board members?
No.
I don't see a problem with that request, sir, and if you, it'll be on our agenda for, well, I don't even know, do we have to put it on our agenda?
I recommend that you want to keep control over all streets and street names.
Okay.
And not let individuals just do it on their own, so that you can prove it by motion and,
Even though this is
I-
private property?
yes, because I think even when you do a subdivision, you name your streets, and that requires approval of the
Okay.
Public Works Department. And the Public Works Department may be able to work with you on getting the sign either manufactured or at least installed.
Sure.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Appreciate you coming in. We very much appreciate the contribution that your corporation makes to the Village of Westmont in terms of sales tax for all of the automobiles that you do sell.
Thank you very much. We're trying to do better.
Thank you, aren't they all? Thank you. Next, our village clerk.
Okay, I just want to mention a couple of things. First of all, the free leaf bags during garbage pickup during the month of November, you get 2 with every garbage pickup, just so everybody remembers that. And the second thing is to remember that on Saturday, they will be having the paper shredding outside Village Hall here, free for people. You will line up. I'm sure Trustee Klebanow knows more about the lineup than I do, but to pull out, and you can even watch them shred your paper if you want to, but it's a nice offer they're giving to us, and take advantage of it while you can, and to thank our employees and you, Mayor, and everyone involved in the Veterans Day ceremony yesterday. It was very nice. And like you said, it was a beautiful day. So that's all I have. Thanks.
Thank you. Our village attorney, John Zemanek.
I passed out a request for board action, and with your permission, I'd like to add this item to the voting agenda for Monday. It's a second development of a site development agreement. When the village purchased the 9.5 acres down on 63rd Street, it subsequently sold off a 1.5 acre outlot to Intrepid Properties. And as part of that sale and that proposed development, there was a site development agreement where the village was obligated to perform certain site improvement, public improvement work for the benefit of that outlot. And the deadline for the village to perform that work was September 24th of this year. As you know, we've been negotiating with various developers, trying to get a comprehensive development of that area. And the village would like to extend that date out for 2 years, and the owner of the outlot is fine with that extension, so that we're not obligated to do any work. And the hope is that a developer at some future point will take over those responsibilities.
So the request for board action should be to September 24th, 2011?
It says 2009, it should be
Yep.
2011.
Anything else?
That's it.
Thank you. Village manager, Ron Searle.
Thank you. I just wanted to comment on information. I think most of the board members are already aware. We were notified this week by DuPage County that unfortunately they're losing their sponsorship for their electronics recycling program that they offer throughout the county. It's not going to affect our 2 remaining events. We have one coming up tomorrow, the 13th, from 9 a.m. to 2. And then we have another one scheduled. It'll be our final one for the year. We were going to end it at the end of the calendar year and take a break like we did last year. Our plan was to bring it back in May, but as it stands right now, doesn't look like we'll be able to do that unless the county can secure another sponsoring manufacturer. But the second one, the last one, will be December 11th. So I just wanted to try to start to get the word out that it looks like the program may end with this calendar year. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Trustees, I'd like to start with Trustee Scott.
Nothing this evening, sir.
Trustee Seneca.
Thank you. Just a couple of things. I wanted to mention that the new newsletter is out, so I encourage all of the residents to take some time to read through it. There's really, really good information in here. One of the things that jumped out at me this time is the nixle.com, which I recently signed up for myself. It's a service that will send important information, weather, traffic, anything going on in the town, thefts, whatever, to your cell phone and also to your email. So it's a really good service. I encourage everybody to jump on that bandwagon. It's Nixle, Nixle.com. So take a look at that. The other thing I had, and I know we've kind of, some of us individually have talked about this, ones and twos. I'd like to get some input and feedback about perhaps starting our meetings at 7 o'clock as opposed to 7:30. So often we keep staff here really, really late. It would get staff out a little bit earlier. It would get us out a little bit earlier. Our petitioners would get out a little bit earlier. I think there's a lot of positives. It's 30 minutes. I don't know if it would cause a hardship for anyone, but something I'd like to see us consider. And then Trustee Fleming had also mentioned perhaps going to a consent agenda. So I think those are things that perhaps we could give some consideration to. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Fleming.
The only thing I have this evening is next Wednesday on the 18th at 7 p.m. We'll have our Public Works meeting, and it will be held at the Water Department. That's all I've got.
Next Wednesday.
Wednesday, 7 p.m.
Thank you. Trustee Klebanow.
Just to remind people again of the upcoming census meeting, Census 2010 is November 23rd, Monday. So 7 o'clock right here in the room. So trying to remind people to mark their calendars. And also because of the shredding, I don't know if Larry McIntyre has any more information on what to expect. Are we doing street closures? Because I just volunteered to come and help out. When I get there, they'll tell me what to do. So do we have any information? Is there a street closure at all going on? If you can come to the podium, or I don't know if we have a route we're asking them to take, come down Lincoln, and they have to anyway. It's one way.
Yes, we will be providing some barricades, and there will be some volunteers, including Trustee Klebanow will be helping out. And that's from 9 a.m. to noon on Saturday. And the volunteers will assist with making sure that people who approach the Village Hall, and it's going to be right here in front of the Village Hall, know where to park. We're probably going to figure out a lot of those details once they arrive, because I really don't know how large the apparatus is. But tomorrow, some of those details will be figured out. But there will be a little bit of a street closure right here in front of the Village Hall.
But technically, because we are one way on this one block, they really should plan on coming down Lincoln so they could approach the truck that direction. If they came down the next street, they wouldn't be able to turn right towards the truck unless they cut through the parking lot. So you'd prefer them to come down Lincoln, I presume?
Well, we're going to have signs out, aren't we, from the street?
So you'll have something out
I would
there?
assume.
Well, Steve May has arranged for all that, so
Okay.
those details,
You know?
I'm sure he'll enact all those tomorrow. Well, maybe Tom knows more as well.
We had a pre-planning meeting with Director May and myself and the manager. We're going to be putting the truck, the shredded ink truck will be parked in the diagonal parking spaces right here in front of Village Hall on the north side. If traffic starts to back up and we get a larger crowd that's anticipated, we're going to move the truck further down west into the commuter lot further west, which usually tends to be unoccupied, and we would funnel traffic in through that way. We are planning on blocking off these parking spaces, and then as cars, as a queue line or a line, as they're waiting in line, they would pull into the diagonal parking spaces. So Quincy Street will remain open. There's no anticipated road closures. So if they come in from Quincy, they'll be able to get into the queue line, or if they come in from Lincoln, they'll still be able to get in the queue line.
Great.
Those were our two contingencies. First here at the Village Hall, because it's easily recognizable, and then if the demand needs it, we would move it further down west.
Right.
Thank you very much. And that's all I have. Thank
Okay.
you very much. Except everybody have a happy Thanksgiving. I guess we won't have a committee of the whole in time, so happy Thanksgiving, everybody, and
Yeah.
we'll see you on holidays.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all I have. Thank
Very
you.
good, thank you. Trustee Emery,
Nothing tonight, thank you.
thank you.
Mayor, my apologies, I forgot something with the absence of trustee Forsley. We're going to have a finance and administration meeting again on Monday at 6 PM. And, I encourage everyone to come. It's a very important agenda item. We're going to be talking about funding of the fireworks, so that'll be at 6 o'clock on Monday. Thank you.
New business, public hearing. Board to conduct a public hearing to determine whether the public convenience and necessity is or will be properly served by granting Yellow Group LLC DBA Metro Yellow LLC, a Village of Westmont taxi cab license. Is there anyone here from the petitioner? Represent the petitioner this evening. Okay.
Good evening.
You're getting to be a regular here.
Yeah, it's starting to, I was just thinking that. I'm going to miss this. I actually brought one thing because there was a major concern last time about actually posting of cabs. I didn't make enough copies for everybody.
We can share.
so-
We'll share. Thank you.
At the train station, we've actually blocked out our dispatch services center.
I need one for the minute.
Our cabs would not be allowed to actually post at the train station. They would actually only be allowed there for 15 minutes prior to a dispatched order. If they actually have a personal order, it has to be called into our dispatch center and actually be on their computer system, so they're not actually blocking traffic or anything else. We would actually, and at this time, there's only one location that we would actually be posting cabs, and that would actually be the hotel at this time. I'm hoping to also get cabs to be posted at the Jewel, if we can actually arrange that with the actual property owner there. So it would be on either side of town. We'd actually have cabs posted, not at the train station, so they'd have convenience to either side.
Great.
So it's easy to do. We have a GPS system. Dispatchers can actually check it about every 15, 20 minutes, make sure there aren't any cars posted there. So.
Any questions from board members? How many other communities, suburban communities, do you presently serve?
We're now operating in all of Lake County, all of McHenry County. We have an office in Tinley Park, so we're serving the far southwest suburbs. Okay. DuPage County is fairly new, so is the Schaumburg, Hoffman Estates area. We actually plan to be in all the counties and actually going out as far as, we hope one day to Springfield. We want to actually make a complete ring from border to border and offer services, especially in a lot of the rural areas. The company actually started out on the outskirts, actually in the Woodstock, McHenry, Waukegan, Crystal Lake areas, where a lot of places where people just don't have access to either public transportation, and a lot of private companies just simply won't service that area. We've actually done pretty well.
Good.
And growing. And we're slowly kind of moving everything together.
With the number of taxi cab companies that we license in the village, isn't there an extremely large amount of competition for the work that's available?
Yeah, there definitely is. But if you compare, I know Westmont is a much smaller community than a Naperville, which has 340 cabs licensed in the village. And there are times during peak hours, there probably aren't enough cabs licensed in the town to service the general population. You call any cab company at any particular time at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, it's probably going to be a 20 to 30, 40-minute wait. These are different times. A lot of people are, there isn't as much bus transportation anymore. Pay services aren't that readily available anymore. There's a great need for it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not too concerned about the, the amount of cab companies. I'm more concerned about the quality of cab companies.
Okay.
So, and I think that'll determine if we're successful or not,
Okay.
to be honest with you.
Is there anyone here from the public that would care to make any comments on this request? Anything further from board members? Okay. Thank you for
Thank
coming
you.
in.
Oh, I did have one question. I did notice on the letter that the senior program was temporarily put on hold. Is that it? The funding for the senior?
Well, that's why when you came, I asked if you gave senior discounts.
Yes, we
because
do.
we had to stop the cab coupons
Yeah.
this time.
We would actually provide all the senior organizations in town, and I invite them to either email me or you, or I'll drop off coupons at Village Hall or personally hand deliver them to any organizations within Westmont. So, which will definitely offset any, it'll definitely help. We can definitely get them, $3 off local coupons. If it's a $3 ride, it's a free ride. So,
Great, that's
but if there's anything we can do, we're here to help. So, and I appreciate everybody. Have a great Thanksgiving.
Thank you.
Yeah,
You too.
Jenny, on that, though, the coupons, there still may be a few lingering, so he would still be able to honor what we have
Yeah,
out there.
whatever.
Oh, definitely.
Okay, we're just waiting for, the people to finish using up what's been out there, but we haven't distributed them for almost, it'll be a year, our budget year, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, in May, so.
You'll probably even get some even next year. Somebody will
I'm
find
sure.
them in a drawer and.
So you
if-
still may get some on your cab, so we
This
just
is
want to make
not
sure.
a problem.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And just to clarify, I think the current Code of Ordinances authorize 6 taxi cab license, but we actually have 7 issued, and this would be the 8th.
I actually think we're about up to 10. Let me double check that.
Okay, I asked Anne Marie to double check, and that's the information she came back with. So this
Okay.
ordinance not only, but we can triple check. This ordinance increases, if you approve it, the number of available licenses to 8, or whatever the number is.
Okay, thank you. Next item, 800 East Ogden Avenue, Guava. Board to consider the following. Zoning code variance request to increase the number of allowable signs from 2 to 3 plus awning lettering. And B, zoning code variance request to increase the maximum gross square footage of signage to approximately 233 square feet. Anyone here to speak on this item? Yes, sir.
Just happens to be here.
Good evening, I'm Jeff Carnick, I'm the owner of Guava. I reviewed the plans, I guess about 4 weeks ago, thereabouts. And really, I'm here tonight to answer any questions that might have been. If anybody needs to see a copy of anything, I can certainly put it up here.
The applicant did make a presentation to the Planning and Zoning Commission to establish hardship in the eyes of the commission, and they unanimously approved this, or these 2 requests.
Great.
So we're going from 115 square feet to 233. Any comments from board members? No
I think it'll
request?
give better visibility.
Okay. Okay, any questions? That'll be on the agenda for consideration Monday evening
All right.
at our voting meeting.
Just a side note, if you haven't eaten there, you must. It's wonderful.
It is
Thank you.
good food.
Very nice.
All right, good night.
Thank you very much. 30 South Cass Avenue and 28 South Cass, Golden Age Tax Advisors. Board to consider an amended special use permit, an amended development permit in the Central Business District for expansion of Golden Age Tax Advisors. Yes, sir.
My name is Pete Bickelhaupt. I'm here on behalf of Golden Age Tax Advisors. We are seeking a variance for 28. We are looking to expand.
Business must be good. Business is expanding.
Yes.
It's good to hear.
Okay. Questions from board members? So what are you, you're taking over another office space
Yes,
next
yeah,
to
there's
yours?
vacant spots in the building, and we're looking to just enlarge, take over the next one.
Okay.
Good.
Any questions? Okay. No questions? Thank you. It'll be on our agenda for Monday. Appreciate you coming in. Street closure request for 2009 Westmont Holidays. Board to consider the following requests from the Westmont Holidays Committee. Close the first block of West Quincy Street on November 27th. Close a section of Cass Avenue on November 27th for the Frosty and Friends Night Parade, and close sections of several streets on November 28th for the annual 5K family run/walk. Larry McIntyre.
It's that time of year again, and Holidays is going to be here within a couple of weeks. And this year's program is very similar to what we've come accustomed to over the last many years. In fact, this is our 15th anniversary. And publicity is going out this weekend. Here is one of the Holidays brochures, which is going to be distributed throughout the community. And posters will be going up tomorrow throughout the downtown and different businesses. So we're hoping to get a lot of publicity that way. And there will also be a mailer that will go to every home and business in Westmont through a Trib Local delivery. So there's going to be quite a bit of publicity, but we're here to talk specifically about street closures. Of course, for our opening ceremonies, which is on the Friday after Thanksgiving, we'll be closing down West Quincy Street for one block, and then also Cass Avenue during the parade. The times of those closures, those are a little bit flexible, and I'm not sure exactly what those times are. I think the police department typically decides when the street closure occurs for the parade, and that's usually, I would say, about an hour before the parade. The parade is going to start a little bit later this year, 6:45. That was a result of some conversations and some planning in which we're trying to avoid some trains. And we found out that we're hoping that by starting about a half hour later, we're going to avoid quite a few trains, and then the parade will progress a little bit more, hopefully fluidly. And then the next day, as you can see on the diagram here, we have our annual 5K Family Fun Run and Walk. So that's for all ages and ability. It is a family event, just like all of our Westmont events. However, if you do take your 5K runs seriously, this is a timed course. And they usually do a very good job with promoting this event. We typically have at least 100 runners or participants in the event and good prizes, but this is the route that they're planning to close down, which I think is similar to what they've done the last few years. And I think that's about it, unless you have any questions.
Questions? Hearing no questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item, declaration of village property as surplus. Board to consider declaring vehicles received through police seizures as surplus village property. These items will be placed on auction either through eBay or another auction service as authorized by the village manager to be sold to the highest bidder. Any questions from board members?
You got any good vehicles in there?
Just these two?
Just two of them, huh?
2000
I believe we're down to,
Ford Ranger and a 1994 Cadillac.
we're down to, I believe, 7 vehicles that we're currently going through the seizure process.
Could you mention again those vehicles for anyone that might be watching this on?
One's a 2000 Ford Ranger, and the other's a 1994 Cadillac DeVille.
Okay.
And they will be put on eBay with all the information. We put the mileage, we put pictures, all the information. So anyone's interested can go on eBay and look for the vehicles. I believe if they search or go on eBay and just search Westmont Police or just put Westmont, the cars will pop up. I don't know the exact time frame of when they will go online, but they will go in shortly.
Okay.
Great.
Questions? Thank you. Next item, 6115 South Cass, Oriental Palace Incorporated. Board to consider issuing a massage business license to Oriental Palace Incorporated at 6115 South Cass.
Thank you, Mayor. There's one correction, if I could make to that. The address is correct. However, the correct business name should be Oriental Palace Spa Incorporated. It's a typo on my part when doing the board action request. I previously submitted a report from the Detective Division and my review of the application process. And with me this evening is the applicant, Queen Dunn, who is here to answer any questions, and she has a representative with her as well.
Thank you. My name is Nathaniel Shea. I think Ms. Dunn's English may be not sufficient enough. I'll both represent her and also perform translation for her as well, in case of questions. Basically, in essence, what it is that according to Ms. Dunn, there's only one massage place here in town, and then she's creating another one on the other side of the town. So create about 2.5 jobs once established, and she's a licensed massage therapist. So, in the economic downturn, any relaxation, it wouldn't hurt anybody. So we request that license be issued in her case.
Questions, board members?
Just for the record, I want to let you know that I reviewed every word of the application.
Yes, ma'am.
The entire application process. I also looked at the papers that were filed with the Secretary of State.
Yes.
And I read every word of the investigation conducted by the Westmont Police Department.
We haven't had a...
So as a result, I have no further questions of your client.
Okay. All right.
Any other questions, comments? Thank you. It'll be on our agenda for consideration Monday evening. Thank you. Next item, 38 North Cass Photography Studio. Board to consider a downtown development request in the B1 district from Joe and Kim Palladino to operate a limited square footage photography studio on the second floor, 38 North Cass.
Good evening. I think you all know me. I'm Al Kohout. I own the building at 38 North Cass, in which I occupy a video production multimedia studio. In about 1.5 years or so, we lost a major player downtown, that being the Suburban Candids. They were around for generations. We did business with them. We thought they were a great ally in our business. And since that time, I think it was a tremendous loss to have them gone. I have some good news tonight, and I'm hoping you're all in favor of what I'm proposing here. I have a friend of mine right here with me, Joe and Kim Palladino, who I have known for over 25 years as photographers. They have had a long-standing quality reputation. They have business clientele that range all over the Chicago market. They have high-end clientele. They have clientele in various types of corporate businesses as well. And we've been talking for a short time now about moving in with us and sharing some of our space. And what I'd like to introduce them to you, but also give them a chance to present who they are and a little bit about them if they can. Okay. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Joe Palladino. This is my wife, Kim. We have been in business, photography business, since 1983. I'm a certified professional photographer through the PPFA, Professional Photographers of America. We do primarily family portraits, children's portraits. We do a lot of event photography. We do dance school photography with children, jazz, tap, ballet, and we've gotten involved with a school in Michigan and one up here in Elmhurst, DeForest Dance in Elmhurst, and it's a big production to do dance schools, but it's a lot of work, but it's a good thing. It's great revenue. We do everything by appointment only, so it's not like we've got people coming in and out, through the doors. We do business portraits. We work with companies, as Al said. This is one image that this is something with dance schools. We do some creative things, and we do a lot of very simple things with little ones. We have a team that works with us. Kim is in sales. I do the photography. We have Karen that does the posing, and then we have somebody helping with the numbers and all that. So it's dance schools. We got involved in how many years ago? I want to
6
say
years.
6 years ago. Kim, you ought to say something because she's really the brains of the operation. I mean, I was doing a job last night for McCain Foods, and I know Al does work for McCain Foods. They had a program, an event where they were honoring the CEO, and the CEO, the global CEO from McCain Foods, he was talking about the elements of being successful, the strategy, the leadership, the focus, and the execution. And I feel like Kim is the first three there. The strategy, she's thinking, she's got the leadership, she's got the focus, and then I'm going out there to execute. So go ahead and
What a good husband.
You can share a little bit about what.
He's going to put me on the spot. I basically am the office manager. I kind of try to keep him organized. My background is education. I'm certified to teach, so I feel like the education that I had in the teaching business has taught me how to deal with all age children, and we're a really good team together in the studio. We had an opportunity with your Halloween. We kind of set up our makeshift set downstairs by Al and had an opportunity to meet a lot of the folks in Westmont. And we're looking forward to being able to participate, and you have holidays coming up. And we're really excited about what we do.
And really the rationale behind us being here in Westmont, we've been in the Riverside area, downtown Riverside, for a lot of years. A lot of our clients have moved further west. And for us to be positioned, we have a lot of Downers clients. We've got Oak Brook, all this Burr Ridge area, and it's like for us to be closer to them, anytime they have to travel east of 294, it's like, it's tough. So and knowing Al all these years, I mean, I feel very comfortable, and we can network. I can send him customers, he can send me customers, and I think if we're approved and we can go forward, I think it'll be a good thing. And I know there's a dance school here in town, and Kim and I need to stop and say hello and see if she may need some assistance in photography. She may or may not, but
Great.
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Questions from board members?
Are you going to have regular hours of operation, or is this appointment only?
Yeah, really, all the years we've been in business, it's been by appointment only. It just doesn't walk in, and it's not like a retail. It's pretty much, a lot of the work that we do is on location. We'll go to Grawmill or Fullersburg, and we'll do families out there. I do have some samples and things here that I could show you, but Al said not to overdo it. But a lot of the appointments, really, a lot of the shoots are on location. When I'm doing business portraits, headshots like you see up here, and those go back a few years.
If they still look like that, you're in trouble.
But this gentleman does look very good. Whoever did that for you did a fine job. But a lot of the work is location, and we do family portraits. We go out to the house. Families of, the extended families with grandparents. I'll end this quickly here. And another one of the reasons for us we don't live this way, we live more towards the city, but we're looking to move this way. I have a dad that's at Mays Lake here. He's 90, and then I have my Aunt Mary who is close by. She's 31st and 83, and she's 94, and Kim graciously handles so many of their medical appointments and all of the things that seniors can't do. There's a lot of reasons for us to be in this direction. And yes.
Well, I was going to say, since you'd probably prefer them to go on location than trying to get seniors to go to the second floor, correct?
Well, if there's a senior involved, we would absolutely go to their home or to their wherever their children.
I like that idea.
Too, that we've got a good relationship. So if he needs to use our first floor space, we don't have any problem with that at all.
Well, I have a question. You couldn't coax them down to the first floor?
Coax him to be with us on the first floor?
I don't know if he's got
Is that what
room.
you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, it's so that, people in the village know they're there
Well,
with the
he
storefront.
wants people to know we're there, and we're talking about that as well, too, how to make this work
Al,
for everybody concerned.
will he be able to utilize the one window? You have two windows.
We're actually going to be sharing the window, and Kim is real great on design and display, and we're definitely going to be using that window more.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So some of your
Yes.
works can
Absolutely.
be shown.
Absolutely.
And
in our
for the
lobby,
foot traffic, they'll
that'll
see it.
definitely be there. And
be good.
even though Joe says he does work on location, I know, just knowing him, there'll be people coming in, so there's going to be traffic coming to downtown as a result too. I mean, people will be coming to pick up their prints, they'll be coming in to see him.
Proofing.
So, coming in as well.
Did Al tell you about our wonderful Chamber of Commerce?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Good.
Just a note there, I was able, because we came into the village and participated in Halloween, I did hand out, I didn't know how many to plan for, but I handed out 150 get-to-know-us coupons with candy treats that went home with all the children that trick-or-treated in through Sound Memories. So, you know, we're looking to...
And another one of our promotions that we've done for, I don't know how many years, at least 8 or 10 years, during Easter, we've built a set, and we actually order live baby ducks, live baby ducks that can actually fit in your hand. I mean, they're tiny little baby ducks, and it's like very successful. And we build a set. We might have a little something that they can sit in. The kids just love it, and so I mean, it's a way to really, and hopefully we'd be able to be beneficial to the community.
You need to introduce yourself to Amber next door.
Yeah.
So you know Amber anyway.
Well, I you know what? I've never met her. I know the name
from the other studio shoots.
Fred, is there any problem with usage of that space for what they're anticipating?
No, Your Honor.
Second floor?
In conjunction with the, I think it's the Illinois Capital Development Board, Mr. Doug Gamble, who is the source authority in the state of Illinois on ADA requirements, so long as the petitioners limited their use of the second floor to 500 square feet or less, they would not be required to install an elevator or a chairlift in the building. And the petitioners have indicated, I think, what was it, 462 square feet or something like that? I guess it's actually it's less than 1,000 square feet, and they're going to be at 462 square feet. So they're well within those guidelines, and there does appear to be ample parking on site so that a parking variance would not be necessary in this case.
Do you have a studio on the second floor already?
No.
What is on the second floor?
Empty space.
Empty space.
You go back a long way too. When that building was configured, added the second floor, what, 10 years ago, I'm going to guess.
Okay.
And at that time, they created offices up there. Okay. But we've been going without income all this time up there. Okay. And in talking to Fred and so forth, we realized that there's less than 1,000 square feet of space available. We could rent that and not have to put the lift to go up to the second floor.
Okay.
That was a big problem all along, is $40,000 to put an elevator in the building, and we didn't see any way to recoup that. So with this idea, it's like it's a win-win for the town to get a quality photographer in here, and also for us to have some opportunity to generate some income.
Okay. So you have a rear exit up there as well?
Front and back. I mean, it's a beautiful space. It's like brand new. It's 10 years old.
Okay.
So,
Perfect.
Yeah.
Very good.
And so there's an open space up there that he could actually shoot portraits in and so forth, though.
Okay, all right.
And then,
Thank
Your
you,
Honor,
Al.
the board may recall that Mr. Coat was before you several months ago
do an
requesting
apartment.
permission to put an apartment upstairs. I assume those plans will be abandoned in that we have a commercial tenant available instead.
Okay.
Great.
But along with that, we hope that could generate, we're never going to max it out. We can't, okay? But if we get an ancillary business type in to work along with us, that'd be great.
Sounds good.
Very good.
Al,
Thank you.
just for your information too, you do have 8 spaces there. If you were to add another apartment or a condo on the second floor for residential purposes, you could do that and still be within the allowable parking parameters for the parking regulations.
Raise a little capital here.
Yeah, that's just trying to offer positive suggestions.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
No, it sounds great.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank all of you. Next item, downtown parking lot. Parking durations. Board to consider an increase in the allowable duration of parking times in public lots at Burlington and Cass and Irving and Cass from 2 hours to 4 hours.
Thank you, Your Honor. This is kind of the final item, I guess, in a variety of parking recommendations that came out of the original Rich and Associates parking study and discussions with our Downtown Business Alliance here in Westmont. It was felt, and I think it's agreed among the Chamber of Commerce, the Downtown Alliance, the Police Department, the Economic Development Department and the Public Works Department that we should have parking of 2-hour duration on the street and 4-hour duration in these key lots in the downtown area to make those spaces available for the customers that use those businesses. And sometimes when a customer may come down and have an appointment to get his or her hair done and go out to dinner, 2 hours may not be enough in the parking lots. We'd like to cater to the needs of our customers and the clientele for the businesses.
Questions? Hearing no questions, thank you. Next item, overnight parking permit. Board to consider the creation of an overnight parking permit in the designated permitted area.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening. This is something that's been on for the board about approximately a year ago. Began with the police department and the village clerk's office fielding inquiries from people who live in Chicago that work out here, want to reverse commute. In other words, be able to park a car here, take the train out from Chicago, get in their car, go to their employment. There was one gentleman, Argonne Lab, I remember was from Lombard. And then also some residents also wanting to know where they could park the vehicles overnight in excess of the 7 nights that we currently give permission for, which led to the discussion and the designation of an area of an overnight parking permit. With the street department, clerk's office, and myself, we've worked on the following plan where we'll have a overnight parking permit, be $75 per quarter, which is exactly the same of commuter parking. And the area will be down next to the metered lot area, which will be down from Park to Williams, I believe. There's Williams to...
You're right. Park to Williams.
Park to Williams is where the areas will be designated. This will also be the location for the same area for the free business parking as well. And we are asking that these allow someone to, if they buy this permit, park their vehicle overnight from 2 a.m. until 9:30 a.m., which is coincides with the free parking on the Quincy Street side commuter lot, as well as we wanted to address, make sure someone does not store their vehicle there. So the vehicle cannot be parked there longer than 48 hours, which would address the concerns that trustees had in the past on someone from Chicago coming there, parking here Monday through Friday, leaving their car here over the weekend, or someone just storing their car here.
So is it going to be allowed on weekend nights?
It's still, I have to go back to the draft ordinance that Anne Marie prepared. I believe she had in there for your consideration for the board to decide. I believe in the draft ordinance was Monday through Friday.
Correct.
But then she also has in there too, under section 5, that it would not be more than 48 hours. So if the board decides to allow for the weekend, then again, though, someone would not be able to park it there longer than 48 hours. Our concern was someone from Chicago parking a car here, storing a car here because they don't want to put it back in the city. The parking rates or their rental fees for a parking space would be a lot more than $75 here. We wanted to address that situation.
Other questions?
The only other thing for the board's consideration, I think there was Trustee Seneca over a year ago had talked about, we talked about reverse commuting, something with residents and non-residents. We cannot charge more for non-residents other than just the amount it would cost us to process a non-resident's fee. However, if the board wishes to restrict this to residents use only, which would defeat the purpose for the reverse commuting.
The thing that bothers me, I think, is that it's $75 for the day commuters, and although the police officers go through there looking for the permits, they don't really worry about vandalism all that much. Overnight, if we have an area way down the tracks where cars are going to be parking overnight, I think there's going to be a few extra drive-bys, so I think $75 is a little too cheap.
There would be extra patrols. I mean, it's the office for that patrol district, would be responsible as any other location in this district to make sure that there's checked. They check Quincy Street. They go around at least once, if not twice, and do their normal patrols, check for overnight parking violations. So this would be part of their normal patrols, but the cars...
Because even if they park there and it turns out it's $75 a quarter, which is $25 a month, that's a heck of a lot cheaper than even taking a Pace bus, which would run down to Argonne. So because it is quite abnormal to have overnight parking provided to people, I think it should be at a premium.
How many spaces are we looking at down there, Tim?
I believe it's in the area of 20, 26.
The only thing I want to see is that because it's 9:30 in the morning, they have to be out there by, we might have business people that have to be in there earlier. And you just don't want to see our business people, the employees that have that as free parking down there.
In our discussion with staff, one of our concerns was someone getting off work. They get off work in at 7 o'clock in the morning, or someone who works in the city, they park overnight, because we do not have any overnight parking in any of our commuter lots. That's especially for this is with the snowplow operations. Someone coming out from the city at 7 o'clock in the morning, getting off at 7, trying to get the 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock train, getting out here, we do not want to see them being subject to a violation, being there past 7 o'clock or 6 o'clock in the morning. We had to try to figure a time period. We thought 9:30 would coincide with the time we begin our free parking here. Yes, the business people, it's going to be the same. This is going to be the free parking, though. The paid parking spaces for the employee parking will have other spots available. This will be for those who choose to have the free employee parking.
Could we say, if they're going to have this special placard, even if they're taking advantage of the free business parking, could we say, well, if there's a need for overflow, they could go into the meter space if they're displaying a placard?
Our officers could probably do that, because they're going to get out and check the meter anyway. I'm sure they'd see the placard. That would probably be an excuse.
Do we have people waiting for this now?
I have approximately 5 calls. There's one resident I know that was parking because he used to have a parking permit, commuter parking, and he thought he could park overnight until we changed it about a year ago. He was parking in the meter lot. We let his permit go on, and I'm going to call back to him. He's the one resident that I have. I have approximately 5 other non-residents that I will call back. Our desk also regularly, and Steve Pensick in the clerk's office regularly gets phone calls of people wanting to know if there's reverse commuting. Reasons for that is because at night, later on at night, Burlington Northern cuts back the number of stops that they make. Westmont happens to be a popular stop. That's why there's one from Argonne, Lombard, and other towns do not provide overnight parking spaces. So that's why they're calling around down the line at the stops that are available to see if it's being permitted. And I told them it's under consideration by staff, and when it's finalized, I would call them back and let them know. So I would say 5 non-residents, 1 resident that I can say for sure.
I have no problem hiking up the fee.
I don't either.
I mean, because I pay $75, and if I work late, I gotta, if I have to pull an all-nighter or something like that, I have to get somebody down here to move my car, because I'm not allowed to park all night. And, the other thing is, word will get out quickly, and if, we have the capacity, are we gonna sell 30 reverse commuting permits and have 30 cars sitting there at night? But I think it should be at a premium if we do
With the
it.
cars there too, how are they going to plow in the winter?
That is why they would be, Steve May, it's far down right now. We designated this area because there's very few cars parked there now. I think Trustee Scott also has gone down there and seen that
Yeah, I've seen
that
it
area
empty.
is just empty during the daytime all day long. In talking to Director May, he feels that if the cars are out by 9:30, we didn't take into consideration this employee parking, but in the wintertime, that would give his crews enough time to be able to go in and clean it during the daytime. That's why we designated that area far enough down, and he feels that he could do the operations effectively.
As goofy as it sounds, even though we know what it is, could we put a disclaimer on the permit about vandalism and such?
The permits, I believe, have already gone out for printing. I know that was one of the questions. We wanted to designate the area, and I know Steve held off until we confirmed that. I know he's already called the company making the permits. I don't know if he could add that. We could maybe do a label, or maybe when he...
Maybe label us.
Or a letter when he...
It's got to be parking at their own risk, and the village assumes no liability to monitor the condition of the car, the whole I mean, standard parking has it
Isn't
down
there-
to a science.
Is there a form or something they fill out when they
I was gonna say, if
purchase
there's
the
an
permit?
application.
Put it on the application.
Back there on other lots?
Put it on the application, they're signing it then.
That being said, with toward immunity, you don't need it as a local, public entity, but it can never hurt.
Exactly. It just is a little, another
It's a
nail.
good, it's perception too.
Yeah.
I mean, they,
And the board could give direction on the Monday through Friday, or just the language of the 48, no longer than 48 hours, if that would suffice. Because I believe Anne Marie had it in there twice, but I don't know if that would contradict
Well,
itself.
the Monday through Friday means that they're going to have to, at some point, drive back to the city with it over the weekend and then drive in on the, Monday morning. It's like a Friday night drive home and a Monday morning drive it
Right in.
back kind of thing. So,
Some residents, however, though, I know the one gentleman would park it there over the weekend because he's a resident, maybe an extra vehicle, or he needs it for an extra space. That's the reasons I can envision a resident wanting to.
can I ask Stu, why does a resident need,
Too many vehicles, not enough space in his driveway, has no other place to park it.
so we're selling car storage space?
He moves them around. He also was a commuter as well.
So what's the fee you're recommending instead of $75 a quarter? $100 a quarter?
Let's start there.
Start there.
You can be an auctioneer,
Yeah, right, right.
So what happens, how will we address it if, we've got the 48-hour limit, but now we get the phone call that, I don't know, they've been hospitalized, this, that, whatever. There's some reason why they have to be there more than 48 hours. Case by case?
Maybe they can cover that. Right now, the current ordinance allows a resident to park up to 7 times every 6 months.
We would just do something like that?
With my permission or my designee, which is the telecommunicators.
Yeah.
They would call and say, I'm sorry, the car's broken down, I can't get to it, or I'm sorry, I couldn't get in, and they keep track of it. The telecommunicators do a very good job of tracking that. So if there would be a violation of maybe more than those 7, using it as a guideline, then we could revoke their permit. I believe that's also possible by the ordinance.
What happens if, the car won't start and they're not out of there by 9:30? I mean,
Same thing, I think, as long as vacations don't count.
Correct. And again, also too, it's that if they begin to violate this permit, they may result in any forfeiture, and we can revoke the permit as well. So if we start to see that there's an ongoing problem, I mean, if the car's broken down and a 1 or 2 time, we could make exceptions for that. However, if we start seeing it's the same person calling
becomes
in
a
all the
pattern.
time. Right.
Good. Yeah, $100 to start.
I was going to say 150, but,
125.
125 sounds good.
I mean, it's less than $50 a month.
Yep. It's a very unique situation.
And if we have it, more, the towns people may be coming here when they know we have overnight.
We may have to have an auction. Mr. Semenek may have to brush up his fast talking skills to hold the auction.
Could be the auctioneer.
Well, we've got the space down there.
Yep.
Yeah, hey, if it can generate some revenue, I'm all for
As a
it.
go ahead and try it. If it doesn't work, then we'll change it and adapt it, whatever. But
Good
at least
idea.
it's a starting point. It's something we've never had before.
Good idea.
Most of the calls came in the summertime. I tended to feel that's the time I got most of the calls, not so much the winter time. I don't know why. I don't know if it's
is that at
seasonal
the
or
opposite?
seasonal work, but
Yeah, it's
we'll have to track it and see. We can see how many permits we sell and see how its use goes.
So are we saying 150?
125.
125?
100, 150, 125. So we're selling 125.
Do I hear 150?
Works for me.
Okay, so the board's in agreement of $125 per quarter for overnight parking privileges.
Yeah, it's less than what people pay for a PACE link-up if they commute the other way.
Okay. Okay, very good.
Still a good deal.
Thank you, John. Next item, parking spaces utilized by taxi cabs. Board to consider limiting the number of 2-hour parking spaces utilized by taxi cabs on West Burlington from Cass Avenue to Grant Street.
This arose out of our discussions, community meetings, and with the Downtown Business Alliance meetings, where we started noticing on Burlington Street in front of the North Depot, and again, there was a typo there, it should be the North Depot, not the South Depot. There's a certain number of parking spaces, I want to say close to 10, where during the daytime, normally from 9 to 10 o'clock, sometimes 11 o'clock, all those spaces are taken. It's a 2-hour parking zone. They're taken by taxi cabs. And we do not understand why. We had several business people bring this to our attention during the previous applicant's taxi license previous meetings. This was brought up, and the board had asked staff to look into it. So our recommendation was to designate 2 of those spaces to be taxi cab parking only. They are limited to 2 hours, and if there's more than cabs that want to come, they're just going to have to keep on circling around or find some other place to stand by and wait until their fare is ready to be picked up.
We talked about it, did we want them to have call orders in order to be in there? In case somebody's got a call order to pick somebody up when a train comes in and the 2 guys sitting there are just hanging out.
The previous applicant would be able to provide, his cabs would be able to provide proof of that. We don't know if the other cab companies will. We don't know if they have computers or if it's a phone call.
Okay.
We just felt that by limiting it to 2, regulates it, that whether they're waiting for someone to get off the train or don't have an order, it's first come, first serve.
Okay. 2 sounds fine rather than the current 10.
There are how many spaces south of the train station on Burlington where the cabs are queuing up?
It'd be the north side. That was the one typo. That was the one correction on my part looking at the action request. It's on the north side of the North Depot, not the south. And
Is it between Lincoln and Cass?
Yes.
That's not
Yes.
between Grant.
No, it's Lincoln.
Yeah.
Right.
So we need to correct that on the agenda.
Okay, so I know the location now. How many 2-hour spaces are there roughly currently?
I'm estimating approximately 10.
So we have upwards of 10 cabs lined up.
Sometimes, yes.
The ordinance, the way it's drafted, says there are 2 designated cab stands out of those 10 spaces, and only taxis can park in those cab stands, but it doesn't prohibit taxis from parking in the other remaining 2-hour spaces. So I think maybe we need one more sentence that says, in this designated area.
Only.
Right.
Right.
And that would be from Lincoln to Cass Avenue on the south side of Lincoln Street. I'm sorry, south side of Burlington Avenue. Adjacent to the north train depot. White lines
Of
going.
the main thoroughfare.
And you
Or
want them
where
to,
Ginny crosses the tracks.
stage if those 2 spots are taken, where can they wait?
They would have to keep on driving around, waiting for their
They can't
fare.
just wait across the
Ginny
street.
crosses the tracks.
They could wait in a residential area.
Wearing
I mean, if that's what they choose to do. That's what other commuters are doing. Just driving by at nighttime, people waiting for their spouse or significant other to get off the train. They park on Burlington Street, or they'll park on Lincoln where it's permitted to wait for the person to go there. It just seems to be during the daytime, there's 10 spots taken up and we can't figure out why. Because I've been there when the people get off the train and there's nobody getting off the train at 10 o'clock in the morning.
And when the weather's nice, they just all kind of
They
stand out
hang
there and
out there.
talk.
We've observed that as well.
Great gab fest out there.
Yep.
Okay, any other
And
comments?
Also, we've also found too, as other towns have had this problem, they legislate it as we're doing here tonight. It tends to be that the cabs will go down to a town that does not legislate it.
Good, thank you.
Does it specify that that is the only place that those cabs can,
Those 2 spots?
those 2 spots? Because the other thing that I'm looking at is that they're going to come to the other side, on the south side, Quincy, and take up spots over there.
No, right now, the ordinance doesn't restrict them from parking anywhere else. At the very least, it should prevent them from parking in those 8 other 2-hour spaces. If you want to go above and beyond that, maybe you
Well,
see what happens,
if they're,
and then you can restrict it. And I'm thinking not only should this ordinance be part of Chapter 78, which is traffic, parking, et cetera, but also should be part of the taxi cab licensing ordinance, so taxi cabs know up front, and we'll have a cross-reference there.
Yep. Yeah, I would think Quincy probably has it worse because that's where they're coming in from Chicago, going to Chicago from Aurora. There's probably not a lot of, need for cabs on this side.
On this side.
So I was trying to figure out why they would, but that's got to be it. They get more business on the people coming in.
On the north side.
Yeah,
Theory.
coming from Chicago, so.
And I believe the area in front of the depot, the turn-in area, that's no parking anyway, if I'm not mistaken. So they cannot park and
There's
queue
no
in
place they
there.
could really park on this side.
Across from Taco Express or in front of the news agency. Those are the only.
Isn't that 30-minute parking, though?
15 minutes.
some of
Yeah,
them.
by the newsstand it is.
Yeah.
And the other
So
parking here is
it
30.
kind of solves that problem.
Yeah, they'd have to talk fast.
Speed talking.
Like John, the auctioneer.
Like his auctioneer.
Got a gavel.
Any other comments?
Oh, no, sounds good, thank you.
Next item, vehicle seizure and impoundment. Board to consider an ordinance adopting an administrative hearing system and permit vehicle seizure and impoundment.
Spending a lot of time.
I feel like Steve May, usually he has a leasing group. So.
Not as tall.
This is a process that we have been investigating for approximately a year, and it's now finally come to fruition. It allows the board, allows us to give permission for certain traffic offenses, and those offenses would be for unlicensed driving without insurance, driving under the influence, driving with license is suspended or revoked. The more serious traffic violations where we would impound the vehicle, an administrative fee of $500 to get that vehicle out would be required of the owner or the other responsible person. And the reason for this is to act as a deterrent to those people from driving those vehicles. Once your license is suspended or revoked, it's for a significant traffic violation or for a significant traffic offense, and endangers other people. For those drivers should not be out driving, nor should those vehicles be on the road. This is a way for it to act as a deterrent to keep those drivers from operating those vehicles. We find that those tend to be repeat offenders, that they come out and will tend to do it again. Not so much DUIs, but the unlicensed driving and the driving of a license revoked. The only thing I'd ask the board to provide us direction again is the amount of fee. By state law, we're allowed to charge up to $500. It's the maximum we can fine. At one point, we were talking $250. So at the board's direction, everything you see in front of you in the packet is for $500 at the maximum fine level. And for the public as well too, if someone chooses or wants to have due process, feels that their car was not seized either by the ordinance, they can request a hearing. We have spoken to our adjudicator right now that does our red light cameras, Mr. Pukas. He is here for his red light hearings. We currently pay a fee for his time of 2 hours, and he's been historically in all the hearings has been out of here in under an hour. We feel that we would have any hearings, administrative hearings for the impound vehicles would be scheduled for the same time as our red light hearings. We'd have our red light hearings first, have our vehicle seizure hearings second. So he would not be, the cost for his time would also be included in the 2 hours.
How often are the red light hearings?
Once a month, once in the morning and once in the evening. On a Tuesday, I believe it's every other month, every month, once a month, but we alternate 1 month during the morning hours, second month in the evening hours, and I believe it's on Tuesday, and I want to say the second Tuesday of the month.
Questions?
First of all, Aurora's the only one that's higher at $550, and we think that's their booking fee attached to it, right?
I don't know. Sergeant Compton did the survey, and that's the fee they got. Some towns, home rule communities can charge a booking service fee, which is something else we're also looking into, that if you get arrested and you're using the officer's time and services, you would pay a booking room fee. We don't know if that's included in that, because I don't understand how they're able to charge more than the $550.
And Tom, we're also pretty much at the low end at $250, aren't we? Aren't most other towns in DuPage County at $500 on an impound?
For the majority of the survey, Sergeant Compton did a survey. I had him call all the towns in DuPage County. Some do not do the service at all. Some are not home rule communities, so they cannot do it. And majority of them were on an average for $500.
West Chicago's at 555.
Maybe that's, rather than Aurora, maybe that's a town that has the rest of the booking room fee. Also, along with this ordinance, currently, right now, we wish to regulate how a company tows for the police department. Right now, we have 3 towing companies. We want to regulate them. That ordinance will also allow us to do that. That's all. We also able to regulate their fees that they're able to charge for their towing services, impound, or for their storage fees. And we would be going out for requests for proposals for them to submit to request permission to tow for the Westmont Police Department. And we will identify 4 of those tows as well, and 1 relocator service.
My only concern is to consider the ordinance adopting the administrative hearing system. You and I talked earlier, the whole issue of due process on an impoundment is just went up to the U.S. Supreme Court, and it was just heard this week, so we won't get a decision for a while. But there's a lot of class actions against the various municipalities and counties in northern Illinois for taking too long for an administrative hearing on an impoundment. So if the ordinance has it, if somebody is contesting the seizure / impoundment, and we only have administrative hearings once every 2 months, we may get into trouble.
It's once a month.
Even once a month,
Yes.
we may get into trouble.
It depends
Because
on-
you've got somebody's car out of commission
Correct.
up to a month.
If the hearing was today, Tuesday, and they were arrested on Wednesday, we would not be able to schedule it if they chose to have a hearing. Would not be able to be scheduled. In our ordinance requires, we're to set them a date within 10 days of the date of the arrest or the date of the impoundment. Within 10 days, we would give them the next hearing date. It would depend. It could be as early as, 1 week, or it could be the 29 days.
So when the ordinance says the hearing date must be scheduled no more than 10 business days after a request for a hearing has been filed, that doesn't mean it shall be conducted within 10 business days, just that we'll notify them of the hearing date. So it could miss that month's hearing date and go into a next month, and it could be a bit of a delay.
Correct. Or we would have to consider having Mr. Pukas here for additional hearings. We have to check his availability and scheduling on that.
Well, right now, both John's firm and mine are going to monitor the Smith case, and we don't have the direction. I mean, DuPage County's been doing what it's been doing. So we'll see when that comes out, and if we have to change it at that point, we'll do it.
And I imagine that we would probably have a 5-day minimum. I mean, if the hearing was coming up on Tuesday and we arrest somebody on Monday, we're not going to know that, they're going to tell them the hearing could be tomorrow. We'd have to play that by ear. If we start to see run into a problem, we'd have to look into adjusting our hearing schedules and maybe having additional hearings.
Yeah, you might have to schedule it every 2 weeks.
I was at the meeting today and talked to an officer from another town who's been doing this. They've been doing this for a year, and they have yet to have anyone contest their vehicle being impounded. But I'm sure it can happen, and we also want to make that opportunity available to anyone who wishes to exercise their rights.
What is the current, do we have no fee for the impoundment currently?
We currently impound vehicles for, they're called Article 36 seizures, or for seizures that are involved in a drug arrest or involved in certain type crimes. We do not have anything for this type of offense. For on a DUI, we would tow a vehicle on a DUI, and it's impounded for 48 hours, so that person cannot just bond out of jail, go back down, pay for his tow, and drive away. We will put a police hold on those type of vehicles. It's not so much a seizure. By law, we're required to tow if someone is driving an unlicensed driving and has no vehicle insurance. By law, we're required to tow the vehicle. We don't impound it. We do, like it says, you had the 2 previous seized vehicles. Those could have been in for drug seizures. We seizure, as Trustee Emery said, we must file paperwork with the DuPage County State's Attorney's Office. They go and have a hearing. The hearing is separate from their trial, from their whatever offense they were charged with. And the judge determines whether they get the vehicle back. They have the option of paying cash or a fine to the municipality and the clerk's and the county clerk's office to get their vehicle back, or the judge could award the vehicle to the police department or to the village for its use or to be sold.
Okay.
So we do not have this system in place. We were prevented from doing so until we were a home rule community.
Okay.
Home rule community allows us to do something like this. We've been wanting to do this for years, similar to what the multifamily housing ordinance, but we were prevented from doing so.
It helps as a deterrent if it's a $500 plus the towing fee to get your car out of hock. It, people may think a little bit about.
And storage.
Right. And then again, that's the main reason this, I mean, because it'll make someone think twice. If I, once they get caught once, right now they go and pay their tow fee, which is about $100. They get in their car and they start driving away. And with this, just a way to make our roads a little bit safer, make them think twice before they go and get behind the wheel of a car again.
Okay. Any other questions? Thank you, Tom. Moving right along, finance ordinance number 14.
Waive the reading.
Request to waive the reading. Purchase orders. Zero. We do not have an executive session request before us tonight, so unless there's any other questions, I would entertain a motion to adjourn at this time.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call on the adjournment.
Trustee Emery?
Yes.
Trustee Klebanow?
Yes.
Trustee Seneca?
Yes.
Trustee Fleming?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Thank you. This meeting is adjourned.